So creating that big ass resolution could change your life. And no, don't just create it. Stick with it.
That's a bar right there.
All right. What's going on, guys? Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Woo! This is the Hartzog Hustle Podcast in 2023.
Yes.
My name is Anthony. Of course, I am your host of the podcast.
And I am Jhanilka, also a host. Thank you for returning. It is year 2, the beginning of year 2 for us for this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, leaving a review, letting other people know what we're doing.
Yes.
Thank you. And hopefully you had a wonderful holiday. I am still in the holiday spirit, as you can see, with my lovely outfit.
Definitely.
But hope your holiday was great, and let's get it in this new year.
Yes. So we talk to 9 to 5. The whole purpose of the Hartzog Hustle Podcast is to help 9 to 5ers create more impact, income, and influence outside their jobs. So if you are 9 to 5 and you're looking to create more of any of those, this is the podcast for you. So we hope you enjoy it. We hope you continue to stay tapped into us. This episode, we're going to be talking about some things that's coming up in 2023, but also ways that you could improve your life, ways that we're going to be trying to improve our lives, and ways that we could start the new year off strong and right.
Yes. So goals in 2023 is what we're starting with. What does that look like? So the details of all of that. And one thing I thought about while you were just speaking was that in the past, so not in 2022, in 2021, I think in 2020, we had a word of the year, and that's kind of what defined our year. I don't remember what the last one was, but that's a suggestion that I have. If you can choose a word of the year that can kind of define it. So if it's, do you remember what the word was?
No.
I don't remember what it was. It was written on our whiteboard. That's another thing that we need to start doing again. But it was written on our whiteboard, and it was just something that we referred to, and it was like the theme of the year. So if you can think of something, I would suggest that. But yeah.
So what are some examples of creating that word of the year? Because I think we did enjoy the idea of doing it and continuing to do it. So intentionality.
Like, how do you figure out what that word is?
Yeah, like what would be an example of a word, and how would you practice that word throughout the year?
Yeah, the problem is I don't remember what is the word that we use, but I found, like, say if it's growth, if that was a word, and I mean, that's pretty vague, but just what does that mean specifically for personally, spiritually, our business, things like that. So having that word stem for everything else. Like our word of 2023 should be systems, because that's something that we said we want in multiple places in our life. That would help us to continue to grow and do better and show up better if we had certain systems in place that are not in place.
Yeah.
So I guess just thinking of something that you feel will guide you through this year or will be helpful for you for this year. That's how we came up with it.
So like if your word would be something like accountability, so making sure you have some form of accountability in your life, whether it's a community, whether it's a person, family, whether it's a coach, just having some form of accountability, or even to yourself. Maybe you have some system in place where you're like, all right, I'm staying accountable by, if my goal is to lose weight, if I don't lose 5 pounds a month, then I owe somebody else $20 or something like that.
$20 ain't enough, but yeah.
Or more.
Or more, yeah. So
however you decide for that.
So we just want to kind of talk through of, what are the goals? And we're not necessarily sharing exactly what our goals are, but more of for you to kind of think this through of like, what are your goals? How do you come up with it? How do you stick with it? Something that we've done that has been helpful is like a goal setting meeting that we have, and we do it in a separate outside of the home so that there's no distractions of Blue, which is our dog, or TV,
or now Alani.
Now Alani, so we most likely will do it without her being there. And we sit down and kind of go through the past year. So discussing 2022, what is that? What was 2022 like? What did you do well? What didn't you do so well? Are there things that you're bringing over into 2023 that you haven't been able to address? Maybe that's no longer a goal for you. So kind of discussing the past year before you move on to the new year.
With that, the episode before the last one, we did the year-end review. So that would be where you start your meeting from. So you do that. So if you haven't listened to that episode, make sure you go listen to that episode, because we dropped a lot of gems on how to review your year in the
More detail.
In more detail.
Yeah.
So you do the year in review. So you do that when you start your meeting. Like, all right, how did we do last year? How do we grade ourselves? So literally that was us grading ourselves on that conversation. So we could start our planning from there. So you guys go listen to that episode, go get the gems, go actually grade yourself on how you did for the year so that you know how to approach and attack 2023.
Yeah.
So starting off with that year-end meeting, the year-end review meeting, and then going forward from there.
Yeah. So once you do that, going forward from there, once you review 2022, and like we said, you're looking for what did you do well? What didn't you do so well? Are there goals that you're like, I no longer want to accomplish this? I'm not, I don't care about this anymore. What am I changing? And then moving forward, 2023, setting those goals. And I know people are like, well, how do I set goals? Specifically, something that I learned as a therapist, they speak about SMART goals. Can you explain exactly what that is?
Why are you explaining it?
Because I'm getting you involved.
So SMART is sustainable.
Nope.
No? What is it?
Specific.
Sorry. Specific, measurable, attainable. What was the R again?
Relevant,
and time specific.
I think the A was achievable. Attainable, achievable, same thing. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to make it realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's something that
Paying me on a spot like that.
That's something we use when making our goals. So to just break it down in layman's terms, most of the times we say we want to lose 20 pounds. Cool. But how can you make that more specific? I want to lose 20 pounds by March 4th. So that's the time. That's achievable. That's 10, specific.
15. It's about a pound and a quarter a week or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then breaking that down even further. So I know a lot of times we just say, I want to make $1 million or I want to make $10,000. And it's kind of like, well, how do you break that down further? Essentially, that's what I would say SMART goals are, being very specific and breaking it down or reverse engineering so that you come up with more specific goals so that it's more easily attainable.
Yeah.
Because when you have such a big number, or you have such a big idea, then it's like, well, how am I going to get there? And that's what that's about. And that's what the conversation is as well when you're having that goal-setting meeting. Like, how do you plan to get there? How are you going to break that down? What steps are you going to put in place? And that's why we like to have that meeting, because we can kind of just lay it out for the year or the quarter.
And I was looking up a stat today. I think it said over 50 to 75% of people, their New Year's resolution is done within 2 weeks. 2 weeks out the year. So by the time
you ask the gym memberships, they probably know.
Oh, they definitely know that. So 2 weeks out the year. So by the time we listen to this podcast and you set your goals, that'll be 1 week. By the next week into the year, the second week into the year, your goals will be done, or you've did an accomplishment, meaning you quit. So you're like, you know what? It's not even worth it anymore.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks into the year, you listen to this episode, and next week your goals. You're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to the gym anymore. I'm not trying to start this business. And a lot of us right now, or a lot of people are going back to work right now. So New Year is done, Christmas is done. You're going back to work, and now you're like, all right, I have my break, I have my time off. Now I'm ready to get it. So what does getting it actually look like? You have to sit down and figure out and be intentional about what does your new year getting it look like. And new year, new me. I said not new year, new me. New year, same me, and just make adjustments.
But I think about, if I let go of that goal within 2 weeks, how bad did I really want it? That's all shade, right? I'm talking to you. But those people that say like, yeah, no, I really do. But I really have to ask myself, you have to be realistic with yourself of how bad do I really want it if I'm letting it go within 2 weeks? I probably didn't. It probably was something, let me just add that to my list. I feel like if you really want something, you'll continue on and you'll do the work, because it's not going to just fall in your lap, right? It's going to take time. It's not going to be easy. That's the other part of it. It's not going to be easy. But to give up within 2 weeks, I don't think that really was a goal. I think that was just you hyping yourself up or something.
It could be hyping yourself up as the first step of creating that goal. So if I'm at my job right now, usually at this season, we're all coming back to the office. And let's say I didn't get the review I wanted last year, right? So we had, it depends on when you had your end of year reviews. I don't know why some people don't do it at the end of the year, but they may do it. Yeah, your job doesn't like the next year. Like March. Second quarter next year. It doesn't make sense to have an end of year review. But if you had your end of year review, you had time to sit down. Excuse me, my nose is bugging me. Oh, there it is. A little fuzz from my Cornell sweater. So
did you go there?
My fraternity was founded at Cornell University in 1906.
Because that's what people always ask when we out in the street.
They always ask, "Did you go to Cornell?" My fraternity brothers did. Yes, so I went to Cornell. But I was saying, so let's say your end of year review didn't go as well. You're thinking about ways. You're like, all right, I want to do better this year. I want to get a raise in my job so that I could, travel more, save more, pay off debt. So this would be the time to figure out how do you implement what was said on that call or that conversation or that Zoom or whatever it is. So you're at your job, you want to get that raise. You're like, all right, they told me I need to be taking more action in the company. So you may not be thinking about it on that call because you're probably pissed. You're like, you know what? I didn't get the raise I wanted, the promotion, whatever it may be. But they say you got to be more accountable. You got to do more projects. All right, you start thinking about now, what projects do I need to be on? What projects can I create? How long would it take me to get to where I want to be? So this is the time we really sit down and figure out those smart goals on how to get to that next step.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, and this is something for us as well, that we have this big meeting at the beginning of the year. I know a lot of people do it before the new year start, whatever works for you. And then we write all this information down and we're like, we haven't reviewed it again.
Yeah, that was a big one for us in 2022.
It's like we started the year saying like, okay, we need to have quarterly meetings to make sure that we're looking back at these goals that we set, right? And we didn't do it. So it's one thing to write it down, have this meeting or write it down. It's another thing to actually go back and refer to the goals to see if you're accomplishing it. If not, it was a waste of your time.
How often do you think you should be? Do you think quarterly is enough? 4 times a year?
Quarterly is not necessarily. I would say probably monthly. Monthly would be the case. So, and it all just depends on what it is that you're working towards. Some things may take, 5 months, but it's like, if that is a goal that's going to take 5 months, what are you doing for each month to get to the goal at the 5th month? And so breaking it down that way. So probably monthly would be how often you should be looking at your goals.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think monthly is probably the
minimum.
Because you may, like you said, you may get into a different point in life where you absolutely say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And I got to wait for the whole month to realize, all right, well, I'm going to cross that off my list. So at least once a month would be a good place to start. And that's something that we talked about doing too. We didn't do that this past year.
No, like sporadically, we'd be like, oh, we accomplished this. We accomplished that. Oh, that's good to see. It's good to check off.
Yeah.
But I would just say that that's huge too. A lot of us just write things down and then we don't get to it. It's kind of like to-do list. We just keep it running and we don't get to it and we're not referring back to it. You put it in a place and electronically, a lot of us use electronic things and you're not seeing it every day. You're not seeing it every month. Then you just forget about it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, it's done. So making sure that you are referring back to it or you put it in a place that's very visible or you're letting like other people know to hold you accountable about whatever it is that you want to do, start a new business, lose the weight, bake, I don't know, whatever you want to do, buy a house, like you're putting it out there so that friends or family members could then say to you, hey, you said A, B, and C, because I am that in my group, okay?
Yeah.
I am definitely that. They're like, don't tell Jhanilka something because she's going to be on you. I will put it in my personal calendar to follow up. And it's not even like, oh, you didn't do this. It's just more along the lines of this is what you said you were going to do by this certain date. What's up? Kind of like giving you some fire under you know what. So
yeah, that's something that we definitely got to do in 2023 is making sure we put that on the calendar.
Yeah, because we have these meetings monthly discussing, I think, smaller goals, but the big ones that we put in place, we kind of don't touch on it.
Why do you think that people don't? So if we know we got the goal, I think part of it is fear too. I think
that you don't accomplish what you say.
Yeah, I think part of it is fear where you're like, I have these goals. I know the goals are so big, but I'm scared that I didn't or won't achieve them.
But that's a good point too, because I feel like it can go two ways. Sometimes, and I think it may be mindset, sometimes we set goals that we feel are so big, and sometimes we set goals that like this, and we know we're going to pass that goal, but it's like you set this small one because you fear, like, if I set it bigger, I'm not going to reach it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I find that we've had that conversation, I think, with coaches as well, of you guys have this, like, why such a small goal? Because that's a comfortable goal. Like, that's the one, like, okay, yeah, I know I can do that. But then we don't set the bigger one. You know, we don't do that. But I think it's not everybody is like that. Some people just set it so small, and then some people set it so big that it's like, okay, well, I'm striving for that. If I reach that, it's like amazing, but I really have this other goal. So I think it really depends. It varies. We don't always set just small ones.
Yeah, we had a meeting with one of our coaches, and they were like, all right, you said this monetary goal, which we know you could do, but what's the great goal? And it was
like,
it was
okay.
It was like, here we go. Now we got a goal on top of a goal, which is you got to have those people in your life that's going to push you a little bit. Some people say the first goal was totally fine, but having the one above it takes you a lot further too.
And I also feel like now we look at goals a bit differently now. I think before it was more along the lines of either monetary, especially when it comes to our businesses. But now we kind of say, how does it fit into our lifestyle? And our mindset coach kind of helped us with that. Like whatever projects or whatever businesses that we're doing, how does it fit into the life that we want? And I think that changes how we set for goals. For example, and I think we've mentioned this before, I may say I want my business to make $1 million, but do I really want to do the work to make my business make $1 million? Like, what does that look like for my lifestyle? That may be that instead of traveling 5 times, I only could travel once because I got to be wherever I got to be. Or that may be that, I don't know, if I'm an entrepreneur, that means I'm working 5 days a week versus working 3 days a week. So what do I want my lifestyle to be or look like helps us now to determine what our goals are. And that's a change for us in 2023. That's something real new. But I like looking at it in that way.
Yeah, we keep going back and forth on this idea of like this space, like this commercial space, and we're letting you guys into our goals. So this commercial space where we could use it for a multitude of reasons. So we could use it for content. We could use it for events if we wanted to do. Podcasting as an example, or let's say baby shower or speaking engagement. But the challenge comes with having the capacity to do so. So we know we could generate revenue. We know we can make more money. We know this could be a stream of income for us. But now I said, for example, if we wanted to grow this, I was like, one example we could do to grow this would be like a social Sunday where every Sunday we have this space and people show up there. Now the question is, who the hell wants to show up every Sunday?
Not I, said the cat.
Is that a
cat or a mouse?
Cat, mouse, whoever's talking. Nobody want to be there every Sunday. So I'm not saying the people don't want to be there, because if we serving drinks and there's going to be music and all that, they'll be there. But the challenge is now, who wants to show up every Sunday to run this event? Every single Sunday, 52 weeks, 54 weeks, 56 weeks. And you got to probably go to the next year too. You can't just stop in Christmas. You can't stop at the end of the year. You got to go to New Year's. So who wants to show up every single Sunday?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't want to show up every Sunday. So that's a great example when we say, like, we are now looking at goals as, is this the life that you want? Is this the life that you would like for yourself? And that's how that has changed. I think that changes how we're going to move in general. In general, when it comes to different things and businesses and growth and properties and all these other things that we always discuss and that we're looking to grow in, that will help us tremendously.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing to figure out if it's going to be sustainable for your life. Because if it's not sustainable for your life, then you probably shouldn't be doing it, unless you're in that season. So you also said, all right, would next year be the season where we're like, you know what, we're going to get back into the game and go a little bit harder? Because this year, I don't want to say we didn't go hard, but
we can't say we didn't go hard.
Last year, I don't want to say we didn't go hard.
Yeah,
but we went hard in a different way. We
can't say we didn't go hard because it still was our highest revenue year in our businesses.
Yeah.
Right? So I won't say I didn't go hard. I think, like you said, it was just different. We showed up differently from the way we did in the past.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. Each year will be different of how we show up, right? The more we grow, we probably won't be in the business as much, but we're thinking about growing it in other ways, in other revenue-making ways. So I know it didn't feel the same. It didn't feel as gritty and in the mud as 2021 did. But that's also because we had a baby girl, right? So we had to remove ourselves in that capacity. So I don't know that I would, downplay it.
No, I don't want to. I'm definitely not downplaying it, but it was just a different level of intensity. Like we talk about that month in November, the same month, different year, and pretty similar revenues. But again, one month we went super hard. We were on social media a lot. We were posting 3 times a day. We were going live constantly. And last year we didn't do this much activity, and the revenue wasn't the same. So we didn't expect to get the same level of revenue as we did in 2021 as we did in 2022. So in 2023, we're like, all right, well, do we want to show up more to get the amount of money we had 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta
back to that life, and like you said, that season. What season are you in?
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get back to what's working. My friend, I always talk about Andre, but he's like, sometimes you gotta do what's working when you don't want to do it. And if we know something is working, then get to it.
Right. I think that's fair.
That's very important.
So yeah, we wanted to just kind of put this out there to kick off the year, because we know everybody's talking about it, and kind of getting y'all, you know what, for you not sticking to the goals and the resolutions that you set for yourself. And our biggest goal, I think, that we had set in our marriage, at least, was when we decided to pay off the debt.
Yeah.
And that has changed our life tremendously. Now what are we about to be? I don't even know.
7 years.
It's going to be 7 or it's going to be 8?
It's going to be 7.
Oh, it's going to be 7, 8. Okay, 7 years in, and it has changed our marriage, our life, our trajectory tremendously. So if, just thinking about it, is there a goal that I can set and that I can work on with my partner, or just have accountability with someone else, and what that looks like to stick to it, and having it in your face all the time, having it on our fridge all the time, telling our friends and family, sharing it on social media, like that is the intensity of how much we wanted it and how much we worked toward it. So if there's something that you want that badly, what can you do for yourself to kind of show up in that way?
Yes, set that big ass resolution.
What?
Set that big ass resolution. I said it like that because our resolution was you wanted to travel more and I wanted to save more.
That was my phrase.
That was literally it. And we sat down in it was the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, right? And we sat down and had this meeting that we're telling you about. It's now 7 years later.
We were saying that we could have a whole retreat on this meeting, child. Breaking down.
We literally sat down and you said you wanted to travel more, and I said I wanted to save more. And we came to the end of that meeting saying we can't do both. And we had to. And so imagine that meeting changing the trajectory of your entire life. So that big ass resolution you set, where it comes to like, yo, we're gonna pay off this debt. You came around February, March at that point. It doesn't have to be.
No matter. It don't got to be January 1.
No, it doesn't have to be January 1. But if you set that resolution and you're like, all right, this is my big ass goal that I want to hit. Imagine that goal being so big that it changes your life.
Right.
Can you set a goal so big, a resolution so big that it absolutely changes your life or your family's life?
And you do the work for it. That's the other part of it, right?
That journey is scary.
What's scary?
Setting a goal, setting a resolution so big that it changes your life.
But I also think that when we had set that goal or resolution, we weren't even thinking about it changing our lives, right? Were you at the time? I know I wasn't.
No, the resolution was if we pay off this debt, you could travel whenever you want. I wasn't a big traveler, so that doesn't change my life. You get to travel whenever you want. I don't know if it changed your life. But the actual offset of us paying off that debt did change our life.
Yeah, I'm about to say, getting rid of the debt definitely changed our life. It just put us in a different realm, a different mindset, open us to different things that we've maybe never thought of, businesses, everything like that. So I do agree that it's changed our life.
I also want to break that down quickly. So putting that goal so big that changes your life changes every other aspect of your life. So now you accomplish a goal that's so crazy you feel like you could do anything.
Essentially.
Like, yo, you feel like if I could do that, then I could do whatever I want at this point.
Yeah.
Setting a goal so big that it changes your family dynamics. And now Alani, our daughter.
What's her name?
I said Alani.
You sound like Alani.
I got to get some more water. So setting a goal so big that it changes your daughter's life, where now she's going to know growing up, like, I don't need to take out debt to go to college. I don't have to take out debt to go to college. Creating a goal so big that now you get in other networks of people that are like, yeah, this is normal. This is what we do.
Doing what they do. Yeah.
Now you created a resolution or a goal so big that now you're in circles where like, yo, yeah, I paid off my debt, but now I'm making millions of dollars in my business. Or even now you're creating a goal so big that you're around people who started businesses or creating entrepreneurship adventures and whatever they want to do in their lives. So creating that big ass resolution could change your life. And no, don't just create it. Stick with it.
That's a bar right there.
That's going to be the beginning of the episode.
Is it? Okay, that's a good one. And can you do our commercial break for goals, talking about goals in 2023?
Yes.
If you want to start it right.
Yes, if you want to start your year off right, we want to get you into our program, Cleaning Business University, where we teach you how to start and scale a 6 or 7 figure cleaning business. We just got word our students have done over $7 million in the cleaning industry without cleaning a single home. They've opened up cleaning businesses in 35 plus states, and they are changing their lives and their families' lives. So get into the new year right. Tap into Cleaning Business University. Link will be in the show notes.
Yes. Once again, Happy New Year, and we hope this episode helps you to kind of set the tone of your year. Make sure you refer back to all those goals that you're writing down, and please continue to share, comment, like, provide any feedback that you have. Write us the reviews. We love to read the reviews on our podcast, so thank you so much.
I want to get 200 reviews on the podcast by the end of this year. So that means we need 70 more to get to 200.
Is it 70? I thought we had 150, no?
I don't know how many we got. I don't know. Listen, that's a lot of people don't get that many reviews. We did a strong year of reviews. So please stop what you're doing. Help us get to that goal. Help us help you help more people.
Yep. So thank you for tuning in.
Appreciate you guys being here. See you every Tuesday. We might change the cadence, but see you every week on the Hartzog Hustle podcast. We might change the name too. See you guys next week. Peace.
Thank you.
This has been an episode of the Hartzog Hustle podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And follow Anthony and Jhanilka on Instagram at The Hartrimony. That's TheHartrimony. Keep hustling, baby. Keep hustling, baby.
Get that money. Get that money.